That is not a dog. That is my wife!
It's very good.
Henry Cavill has traded the Superman cape and the Witcher's silver sword for something far more ancient. He is officially leading the Highlander reboot, directed by none other than Chad Stahelski, the visionary behind the John Wick franchise. And if you know what Stahelski did with Keanu Reeves, then you already understand why this is serious. Henry Cavill is officially stepping back into the world of blades and immortality, and this time, it is not Krypton. It is not the continent. It is something older, something darker, and if this lands the way I think it will, we may be looking at the birth of the next massive action franchise. When I saw those first images drop, I immediately felt it. Not just nostalgia, not just hype. Something bigger. Cavill standing there, sword in hand, framed in that cold, metallic, almost John Wick-style lighting. It did not scream fantasy reboot. It whispered legacy, and trust me, that difference matters. Cavill took to Instagram to share 2 first-look images from the film. He called it a long journey. He said the time had finally come, and you could feel it in his words. This is not just another role for him. This feels personal, and when an actor feels that way about a project, that energy shows up on screen. Filming has officially begun after years of development delays. This reboot was first announced back in 2021, and for a while, it felt like one of those projects that might never escape development limbo. But now cameras are rolling, and what we are seeing already carries a tone very similar to the John Wick universe. Sharp lighting, tactical framing, brutal elegance. One image shows Cavill gripping a massive sword. The location looks international, possibly multiple continents involved. That alone suggests this will not be a small-scale reboot. This could be a globe-spanning epic. Production was delayed late last year after Cavill reportedly suffered an injury during preparation, but that setback did not stop momentum. If anything, it only built anticipation. Now here is where things get even more interesting. The cast lineup is stacked. Russell Crowe, Karen Gillan, Jimin Hounsou, Dave Bautista, Marissa Abela, Max Zhang. That is not a random assortment of names. That is a calculated ensemble built for scale. The screenplay is written by Michael Finch, who also worked on John Wick Chapter 4. Previous drafts involved Ryan J. Condal and Carey Williamson. So creatively, this is not a rushed rewrite. It has passed through multiple strong hands. To understand why this matters, we have to go back to 1986. The original Highlander film starred Christopher Lambert as Connor MacLeod, an immortal Scottish warrior born in the 16th century. Sean Connery played his mentor Ramirez. Clancy Brown delivered one of the most unforgettable villain performances of the era as the Kurgan. The concept was simple but powerful. Immortals walk among us. They battle across centuries. And in the end, there can be only one. That line became iconic. It shaped the mythology of the franchise. The original film expanded into sequels, a television series, novels, and even an animated adaptation for younger audiences. But let us be honest, none of the sequels ever reached the same cultural or cinematic level as the first film. The franchise became inconsistent. The mythology remained fascinating, but execution faltered. And that is exactly why this reboot has so much potential. The core premise is still compelling. Immortal warriors scattered through history, converging periodically to battle until only one survives. The idea of the gathering is central to that mythology. But Chad Stahelski has confirmed something crucial. This reboot will not immediately depict the gathering. Instead, it will build toward it. That means we are not getting a single standalone film. We are getting the foundation for something much larger. Stahelski described the film as part prequel, part setup. He wants room to expand. He wants to create space for franchise growth. That tells me this is not just a remake. It is a reinvention designed for longevity. And here is another major development. The rights to Highlander have shifted from Lionsgate to Amazon MGM under United Artists. This is significant. It opens the door not just for films, but for potential television spin-offs and expanded universe storytelling. In other words, this could become a multi-platform franchise. The reboot has been in development since Summit Entertainment first acquired the rights back in 2008. At one point, Justin Lin was attached to direct, The project was even titled Highlander Reckoning. When Lynn exited, Juan Carlos Fresnadillo briefly stepped in. Then he left as well. For years, the project felt unstable. Chad Stahelski has been attached since 2016, but his commitments to the John Wick franchise delayed movement, especially when Ballerina, the Wick spin-off, required reshoots. Filming was initially announced to begin in Scotland in January 2025, but production timing shifted again due to scheduling conflicts tied to Ballerina. Now, though, everything appears aligned. Lionsgate previously targeted a 2026 release window before the rights transfer. With Amazon MGM now involved, that timeline may shift slightly, but the intent to launch this as a major event remains intact. As of now, Henry Cavill is the only officially confirmed lead, and if we consider his departure from The Witcher, this feels like a natural transition. Another sword, another warrior, but this time, the character may carry centuries of history. The big question becomes, who will play the Kurgan? Originally portrayed by Clancy Brown, the barbaric antagonist defined the original film's intensity. Names like Vinnie Jones and the late Ray Stevenson were previously floated. Dave Bautista has also been mentioned as a possibility, and honestly, Bautista has the physical presence and acting depth to embody that menace. Stahelski has confirmed that many original characters will return in some form. That suggests we may see reinterpretations rather than complete reinventions. The concept of immortals meeting across eras creates endless storytelling possibilities. The television series previously expanded on this by introducing additional immortals beyond Connor's apparent victory. Stahelski understands that dilemma. If Connor wins too soon, the story ends. So instead of rushing to the final battle, he is building the road toward it. And that strategic patience may be the smartest decision this franchise has ever made, because audiences today expect world building. They expect layered mythologies. They expect cinematic universes. Highlander was ahead of its time in 1986. Now it may finally receive the modern execution it deserves. Henry Cavill stepping into this role carries symbolic weight. He is an actor who has navigated franchise turbulence before. He understands fandom pressure. He understands expectation. And if this works, it could redefine his action career. I genuinely believe this project has the ingredients for something special, but the execution will determine everything. Will Stahelski bring the grounded brutality of John Wick into a mythic fantasy framework? Can he balance sword combat with emotional depth? Can Cavill deliver not just physical dominance, but centuries of internal conflict? Those are the questions that excite me. And if you have been waiting for a fantasy epic that respects its source material while daring to evolve it, this might be the one to watch. Because there is something powerful about revisiting a story built on immortality in an era obsessed with legacy. We are not just getting a reboot, we are getting a chance to rebuild a myth. As more details emerge, I will be watching closely. And if this project continues on its current trajectory, Highlander could become one of the defining action franchises of the next decade. For now, all we have are images. A sword, a stare, a promise. But sometimes that is all it takes to ignite something bigger. Let me know what you think about Cavill stepping into Connor MacLeod's world. Do you believe this reboot can finally deliver the Highlander story modern audiences deserve? I will be following every update, every casting announcement, every production shift, because if there truly can be only one, this might finally be the version that earns it. Thanks for watching. Stay sharp, stay curious, and I will see you in the next deep dive.